The third system in your business is the after unit. And this is an exciting part of your business because this is your greatest asset. These are your friends, your family members, their neighbors, there's people in your centers of influence. And it's that one area of your business that if you build a system, it could yield a return forever. And actually what we're looking for is a return of 20%. We say a 20% yield. So imagine if 20% of the people who knew you, liked you, trust you, were referring or repeating with you every year, what would that yield you financially? How much money would you make? So what I'm going to show you is how to set up a system to make that happen. And there are 3 keys to that system. So let's look at each one of those keys. The first strategy in your after unit is focus on 150 people. Now you may be asking, hey Joe, why 150 people? Well, I would suggest that you never underestimate the power of a small group of people. So if you know 150 people, and let's say that each one of them know 100 people, how many people is that? Yeah, right, 15,000 people. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put together a strategy that you're going to be the leader of 150 people who know 100 people. And from that group of people, we're going to have a 20% yield, which is going to be 30 transactions a year. 30 transactions comes from 20% of 150. Now remember, if those 30 people go into your during unit and half of them introduce you to a person before the transaction is over, you in effect can double your business by having an after unit that gets a 20% yield from 150 people. So the decision you make now is who's going to be on your list of 150 people, or for some of you right now, you're saying, I've got to grow my list to 150 people. Either way, we'll help you decide exactly who should be on the list and how to grow that list. But a bigger decision is this. Do you want to be the leader for these 150 people? One of the decisions you'll have to make is, do you want to make a commitment to 150 people? And you're going to say, I'm the one who's going to interpret for you what's going on in this new world. See, in the old world, you didn't really have to have any true expertise. All you had to do was send something in the mail to people, encourage them to tell a friend, a family member about you, and you might generate a referral almost accidentally. But in this new world, what you want to do is you want to present your expertise to your 150 people over and over again. What they need more than ever before is your interpretation of what's going on in this new world. So you want to make sure that the people that you put on your list are people that you want to be engaged in their life. You want to be able to say, this person, I'm going to invest my time. I'm going to invest my energy. I'm going to invest my insight. I'm going to love these people in a way that they're going to look at me as their leader when it comes to the real estate and the mortgage industry. So the first strategy is decide who are going to be the 150 people that you are going to lead. Once you've made that decision, you can apply strategy number 2. Strategy number 2 is connecting your referral chains. Now you may be asking, what does that mean? See, whatever you want in life, the easiest way to get it is be grateful for what you've already got. And one of the big mistakes that people make is they start calling up everybody in their after unit asking for referrals. And what you do over time is you condition people that the only time you contact them is when you want to ask them for a referral. Now I'm going to suggest that there'll be the appropriate time to encourage people to introduce you to the people that they're noticing. However, when you're first starting to work your after unit, you want to show gratitude for what you've already received before you start to ask for more. Now how might that work? Let's imagine that you have 4 clients that are connected together. Let's say that you have the Andersons who referred you to the Burgers, and the Burgers referred you to the Champs, and the Champs referred you to the Derricks. Now, your contact to each one of the people in this chain is to connect that chain. Here's what I mean. In the main event workbook, one of the dialogues that we refer to is called referral chaining. And that's calling up each person in the chain and connecting them. So for example, I would start down here with the Champs because they have introduced me to the Derricks. And I would just say to the Champs, Mr. and Mrs. Champ, thank you for introducing me to the Derricks. And because you were willing to introduce me to the Derricks, I've been able to help them reach their goals. And I'm so grateful for that. And as you go through life, if you happen to notice other people who are like the Derricks who want to reach their goals of owning a home of their own, please feel free to continue to introduce me. Thank you so much. Then you hang up the phone, and then you call the Burgers. And you say, Mr. and Mrs. Berger, Mr. and Mrs. Berger, this is Joe Stumpf, and you might recall that you referred the Champs to me, and the Champs have recently referred a client to me called the Derricks. And you don't know the Derricks, but I would have never met them if you didn't introduce me to the Champs. And I want to thank you so much for introducing me to the Derricks, because this young family is now going to own a home of their own, which they never would have ever had that opportunity if they weren't introduced to me by the Champs. And you're the ones who introduced me to the Champs. So thank you so much. Now, as you can see, what I'm starting to do is show the Burgers how their behavior of introducing the Champs to me has impacted a family called the Derricks. And then imagine now calling up the Andersons and saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, recently I helped a young family called the Derricks. Now, you don't know the Derricks, but they were introduced to me by the Champs. Now, you don't even know the Champs, but they were introduced to me by the Burgers. And you did introduce me to the Burgers, who introduced me to the Champs, who introduced me to the Derricks. And I want to tell you a little bit about this family called the Derricks and how they're living their dream right now. And I want to thank you because it was your behavior 7 years ago when you introduced me to the Burgers, who introduced me to the Champs, that made it all happen for the Derricks. And that's called connecting your referral trees. And I've worked with agents and lenders all over North America who have referral chains sometimes 8, 9, and 10 levels deep. Some of you might have them just 1 or 2 levels deep. But I would encourage you right now, as we move into setting up an after unit, before you start to go ask for more, be grateful for what you've already received. And that strategy is called connecting your referral chains. Now let me teach you the third strategy.